OT to that. Yeah. Well, happy Family Day. And what a day it was for your family if you were down at the Scotiabank Saddledome to witness a sensational. Yeah, the Afterburner curse is real. Welcome to Afterburner. It's Ryan Pinder. There's Rhett Warner. Rhett, I did the math. 2, 7, and 4 are the Flames when we do an Afterburner. We are now accepting bribes. If anyone wants to cut us a check for like 50 grand, 100 grand, like whatever, we'll stop doing Afterburner. The Flames, despite creating a lot of good chances, fall to the Flyers today in another rough outing for Jacob Markstrom. A 307 points percentage, Rhett, which I think would have them far and away in contention for Connor Bedard. If we have these kinds of powers and could harness them for good, we might even be able to bring Bedard to town. It's not been good.
Our Magic's going to have to go deep to get Bedard, but no.
Yes.
It's I guess maybe we could be bought to bring in more Afterburner events, or like maybe
or less. Yeah, like who's paying? I mean, if the
way.
Oilers want to put us on payroll, we'll keep doing these things. The Flames keep losing. A weird one today. Tell us about your weekend. It's Family Day long weekend, and there's a reason we're asking you about it. You were expecting to be watching this live, but one of your offspring completely just undermined you.
We had quite a weekend actually in the Warner house. We had to go to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which is where Slapshot was shot.
Of course, yeah, Johnstown Chiefs.
And so we're down there, and the team that I'm hanging out with these kids, and they're usually terrible. And all of a sudden they string 4 wins together and make the final today. So now we got a 12:30 game to play. It's 5 hours away. And I ran into my good buddy, Frankie Banham, one of the best Saskatoon Blades ever, randomly walking the concourse at the rink, because we went and watched, I think it's called the NAHL, the NAL. It's
second junior A league.
Yeah, down there. So ran into him down there. And then my other kid, the old dope, he played at Cleveland Browns Stadium today.
Come on.
The outdoor game, or whatever, or the setup anyway. So yeah, then I drive home, feel like we'll do Afterburner, watch the game. Had no way thought we'd be in the final and have to worry about time.
Yeah.
Make the final. Now I'm rushing to get home, and the game's not carried in your
it's regionally blacked out. Don't we love those regional blackouts? Aren't they awesome? Can we get more regional blackouts?
Well, it was 3-1.
Yeah.
But the mother-in-law said it was on at her house, which makes no sense. It's 100 feet away. So regionally blacked out at my home, but not hers. I walk over. It's 3-2 by the time I get to their house.
Yeah.
Sit down, 3-3. And then I'm like,
momentum.
They're coming back. They're going to do it. A third period comeback. And no. Uh-oh.
We're saying that. We're acknowledging that. But one good Markstrom also doesn't change the big picture. And the big picture is one guy's got 10 wins and 3 overtime points in his last 15. The other guy's got a fraction of that. I just don't know how you go back to him now. And it feels like we've said that a bunch, and yet they keep going back to him after whatever else happens between us saying that and them riding Markstrom again.
Pinder, we lost Rhett.
We lost Rhett.
So
all right,
oh,
so
no, it goes back.
So, and you know what? This is a better question for you, Princey. This is Princey, our producer, who's helping out today.
Well, I can add Rhett. Rhett just dipped out for a second, and now the minute I hop on, he hops back. He's never going to let me shine, so I'm going to bring him back in.
Well, bring him back in, but Princey, this is a better one for you because you got to see the full extent of this contest.
Right.
Or at least more of it than poor Rhett, who was regionally blocked on one side of the street, but not the other. Blackout restriction. Just a thought on Markstrom here. I mean, I was surprised they went to him against New York. Yes, he played well, but if your best game of the year is a 2-goal lead blown and a 900 save percentage, and it's really good. He played well. But if that's your shining moment, I feel like Vladar is better.
Yeah, like we had Croner on last week when you were gone there, and he was saying, do you think Sutter's playing Markstrom to like showcase him to get him out of here? I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, and also Kron did mention he was drinking red wine when
that
thought came into his head when he said that. So I kind of thought, I put some thought into that over the week. Are they trying to showcase him? Are they trying to justify playing him based off of his salary, what he's eating up on the cap? Like, I don't know what the answer is, why they're not just taking Vladar, regardless of Vladar's, one off there against the Red Wings or whatever. I still would have stuck with him and just kept going. Like, it just seems strange that it's Daryl, whoever, LaBarbe, whatever, keeps wanting to go Markstrom, Vladar.
Wow.
Vladar. Like, can you not just put a string together of 5 regardless?
And I get it. If you're coach, you want a guy to get hot, ride the hot hand. Neither has certainly of late done that. Vladar's was 13 games in a row without dropping one, and then he's dropped 2 since then. But I am also not going to be fooled into thinking that someone else is making Daryl Sutter's goaltending decisions. We don't did Daryl better than that. Rhett, just a big picture thought on what it would actually take to give Vladar a stretch where he could have a shaky outing and return back in.
Wow, I'm guessing if he won that game against Detroit, he'd be in. I mean, there's no. I went back and watched the highlights of the game, and in the second period, D'Angelo scores right to score the third one.
D'Angelo is the second period, 11:31 at even strength. Yeah.
So he beats Markstrom. I mean, it's a good shot and all this, but at the 1:30 mark, the Flyers goalie makes a save. Same type of play, same thing. When you're like, yeah, it was a good shot, this and that, but that's the difference between the win and the loss. He's not making the save when you need it.
So there's 2 areas that this team struggled just incredibly in this season, and one has been goaltending. So your 5-on-5 save percentage has been brutal, like I think bottom 4 in the league, and the other has been the power play. And it's like if either of those things wanted to be good today or just a little bit better, you get 2 points, and instead you get 0. If you have 1 power play goal, this game feels different. If you get 1 more save from Markstrom, and when you're leading the league in 1-goal games and your goalie is the second best goalie on the ice almost every night in the case of Markstrom, I know this isn't a perfect roster, but I feel like if this team could get a few saves, we're not talking about 9th in the West right now.
Well, and can I just jump in there? And I think just as importantly, I mean, it's all important right now because they're is disheveled this word even? And it's my word. Disheveled. Yeah. They're lost. But if you get that save or you get that goal on the power play, the whole thing turns because the attitude in the dressing room, Sutter's attitude, your enjoyment going to the rink, the whole picture is you're painting a different picture if you're getting one or the other. You're not in a fight for 8th. You're probably sitting comfortably in a second or third in the division kind of thing. And everything changes then. Now Huberdeau's not squeezing his stick. Now all the other guys are having more fun coming to the rink. Now the goaltender's not feeling shitty or scared about screwing everything up, right? Like it's just it's a snowball effect as we talked about before, but just if you get one thing to go a little bit better, this team is in a completely different space, completely different.
And I honestly, I'm starting to get some Mike Smith vibes on Markstrom. And I don't mean that in any sense of except like after you watch a goal, his reaction to it.
Right.
And on the 4th goal, you see it slide under Zadorov. Pelche has to cover for Weegar, who I think probably would play that differently at the line again. They're in that scrum on the wall. It pops out, and suddenly how it's an odd man rush. But Markstrom turns and sort of doing the "Ugh," and that's like the classic Mike Smith, blame your defenseman, even if it's from 132 feet away. God bless him.
And
And that's the frustration showing, Rhett. And I think that's what you're talking to about confidence. If he's won 4 in a row, he's not MFing his D or like doing the old hands up thing, right? And I know he's intense, but this is worn on him a lot. Him not performing well, it's not water off a duck's back.
well, it's not. And like I said just 2 minutes ago, it's not water off Duck's back because he knows deep down that if he makes those saves, the rest of it is going to be, like I said, you're going to have a better, rosier, you're going to have way different view on how the Flames season is going if he's playing to the standard that he expects to play. The first goal, as nice a move as Konechny makes, he's flopping at that puck trying to save it, right? It's not a controlled, I'm just in position, let it hit me. It's like he's falling forward and I don't even, again, it's a nice play by Konechny and he's in a spot where a shot can beat a goalie, but that's irrelevant to me. It's Markstrom's demeanor and positioning and just general. You can tell the confidence isn't there. He's trying to swat at pucks and he's stabbing at it with his body. It's not a controlled, comfortable goaltender.
Yeah. And honestly, like it's that start, that goal from Konechny. I want to ask a question about it, but also I want to talk about like that period feels like the most Flamesy period of the season. They really did a great job creating chances. I could think of 6 or 7 really good saves from Erson, excuse me. You think of Rasmus in tight, Pelche in tight. You know, they got the 2-on-0 with Kadri and Huberdeau. They'd love to do that again. You know, Gilbert fights. You got the crowd involved now. The big hit on Delorier. I mean, it was almost a perfect period. If you look at the box score, the shots say 12-10, 1-0 Philly, and you're like, But like that was a really good period. And at one end, they got a bunch of really good saves. And at the other, you didn't. And it's just like this team behind plays right into that mental, we doing this again? And yeah, they came back to tie it at 3-3. But this team, when they have to chase leads early, it is just not playing into their skill set. Get a lead early, it looks totally different.
Prince, you speak to the first because like I said, I watched the highlights.
Yeah, that's Pinder probably put it the best way possible. That's the most Flames period. Like if you didn't watch that and you kind of just went and checked us, you'd be like, why are we down 1-0? That kind of stuff. Like the Gilbert thing was something like I think that happened on pretty early on. So to see that happen, like he takes a good clean run at
121 in.
Yeah, exactly.
He knocks over one of the toughest guys in the league, leading the league in fights the last few years, Nick Delorier. And then immediately scores up fights, does well in the fight against Nick Seeler, and then gives her the woo, like, let's get this crowd going. And it's like, they're here to play. And they follow that up with chance after chance after chance.
I thought that set the tone. That was for me, that period. I thought that set the tone, but it's the most Flames period possible. You get chances after chances. One goes in, we're down 1-0. You know, you're lucky to actually be down 1-0 heading in there. But like I said, that to get Gilbert to do that, like Gilbert's clearly still fighting for his life as a Flame. I don't know if anybody else saw it. I can't remember who the tweet was put out by, but somebody had mentioned that Michael Stone was walking around in
crutches today.
Yeah.
So
Gilbert's
in out of necessity, not from Daryl. Yeah. And sorry, to jump on you. Daryl post game was asked, was Michael Stone's absence injury related? His answer was yes. So that confirmed what I believe it was Ryan Leslie or someone had said, he was coming in on crutches today. So Gilbert fouls in. Rhett, we love the guy, the Buffalonian. Like
no issues.
It's not the next coming of Erik Karlsson. It's very meat and potatoes, but he is absolutely afraid of nothing, and he's working his tail off to get a job here. In fact, it's our cheers of the game. For both BK Bowfort Liquor, our boy Mandeep of the gang, just across from Winsport COP. I don't know. I mean, you could certainly say Michael Backlund had a good game. That goal felt big. He set up another chance. He gets robbed where Erson maybe the save of the game for him with that glove hand. But it's got to be Gilbert. Like you lose a guy after, no Shillington. So your 7's now your 6 all year. Your 6 comes in on crutches one day. And it's like Gilbert just continues to go out there and scrap, fight, hit, and just impose his will on the game.
I got zero issues with it. I got zero issues with Stone either because I think, like we keep saying it, Stone is doing the best Stone that he can.
Yeah.
And that's been fine. But I actually love the option of Gilbert because he does go out and add some bite. You remember when Kachuk came into the league and Backlund and Frolik? And one of the knocks on Michael Backlund was he wanted a softer style of game.
Sure.
And Tkachuk, you're playing on a line with Tkachuk, you get dragged into the shit.
Yes.
And that's what I'm envisioning Gilbert going, I know I have to play a certain way, so the rest of you bastards can just join right in.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great point. They always said, Backlund, that Tkachuk draws you into the battle. You cannot help but engage more, where you could just skate back to the bench instead. Everything's elevated. You're fighting for each other. And it's like the Trouba hits. I don't think it was a coincidence that Trouba and Sammy Blais throw 3 of the heaviest hits against Flames we've seen all year in one game. And the Flames play their tails off. They lose on Broadway, get a point. But when you are pushed against the wall, it's not just, a Tuesday or a Thursday in Detroit. Like, you can't sleepwalk after something like that happens, right?
No, they're in it. And I think Gilbert will do. Gilbert, we've seen all year, recognizes the spot he's in and the opportunity he has, and he's doing everything he can to stay in that lineup and make a name for himself. And you got to applaud him. I mean, what else can he do? I mean, I don't expect him to put up 30, 40 points in a year, but damn it, he's out there giving it everything he's got.
Scores in Buffalo in that 7-2 win that actually started out as a 2-0 deficit. I think everyone, if you had to grade based on expectation, it's straight A's across the board for Dennis Gilbert. So
is that a 3 for 3 on the BK Bowfort?
I think so. I mean, I had Backlund written down, and then I was like, no, it's got to be Gilbert. Yeah. So if I have to do an honorable mention, it's Backlund. But I mean, Gilbert, that set the tone. They had a great first period. If you switch goalies, this game's not close. I believe that. And Darryl said, okay, their goalie was great, made a lot of great saves. We created enough, quality chances. They also got some puck luck, and sure. When Coleman goes in on a breakaway, beats you 5-hole, and it goes post and stays out, you're like, oh. Again, here we go. But still, you switch goalies, this game's not close. I really don't think it is.
So we're going to harp on Markstrom again then? Is this?
It seems like broken record. And it's how many times are we going to do the same show? But it wasn't a flat effort. It wasn't one where you're like, these guys don't care. There were mistakes, certainly. And I want to ask you about that first goal. The late penalty from Kadri with 6 minutes left. That's selfish. Selfish might not be the right. It's dumb. Yeah. I don't think he's saying, I need to do this. I think he's trying hard, but it's like, dude, you cannot take a penalty there. There's 6 minutes left.
You're a veteran. You're old enough to know better. So
totally. But I wanted to ask you about that first goal. Konechny makes it 1-0, and you can see he's driving wide, and Rasmus is playing him one-on-one, but it looks like he might have a step on Rasmus. So Hanifin is communicating with Rasmus. They're going to swap guys on the 2-on-2. And I don't know if Konechny times it perfect, where as the D are swapping, he cuts in, or if one of the D didn't play it well, if there was no need for a swap. What did you see for D-man there? Because I like the communication, but he looked like he loved the move because he saw it coming, and boom, he's open.
It's not an easy read for the D, because I think Hanifin is anticipating being able to cut that off.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do have to do that. I'm of the mind where don't overdo stuff. Yes, he might have the angle, but Rasmus has enough of a position where he's going to keep him to the outside. And if he gets a shot, surely to Christ, Markstrom could make the save, right? Like that. Yeah. That's my opinion on things.
Yeah.
And honest to God, I tell this to the kids all the time, and Lauren Mulliken used to tell us in junior hockey. One mistake, and typically the puck doesn't end up in the back of your net. It's the second and the third mistake, and you try to do too much sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say now because it went in your net, but I would have rather if Konechny's going wide and he does have a bit of a step, Rasmus is a good enough skater, and he's probably close enough that he's not going to have a clear break and be able to cut across the crease, and force anything too worrisome for Markstrom. Now you do the switch, and anytime you do the switch, you can lose position and lose guys, and I think that's what happened. But all that being said, I still wish the save was made.
Yeah.
And again, I think Konechny makes a fine move. Yeah. It's a fine shot, but it's not. You need it. You need
Konechny's feeling it though.
He was till he left the game with injury.
Yeah, I know that, but I just mean the last, what's he got now? 25 goals,
career high for Konechny. A guy the Flames liked in that draft class
too. There's always rumors about him, but
good player. He left on a play, Rhett. I don't know if you saw it. I think he tried to subtly do the back hit into, was it Coleman? And gets whipped forward, but he left with upper body. It's almost like he jammed his wrist when he went down or something. And he was saying, it's not good. It's not good. Kind of keeled over as he was going to the bench. He didn't come back. That's a significant loss. They also had someone else head down the tunnel as well for them. That was late in the second where Konechny left. Upper body injury. That's a big goal. And I tip your cap. The guy's on pace for, 30, 35 goals? He sees that switch and times it perfectly to cross Hanifin just as that opens.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could also use a save.
And that's just it. It's one of those ones where, and again, if you had the saves for the last 4 months and you weren't in a squeeze position where everything's tight as a snare drum, then you wouldn't care as much. But because you haven't gotten one of those saves all year, you're like, gee, come on, can we have one at some point, please?
Yeah. I just don't get the sense that, if the Boston Bruins are down 1-0 through 20, even outplayed a team, there's any sort of stress. With this group, you're playing right into scar tissue there. Is this going to happen again?
It sucks too, because it would be nice to be sitting here tonight going back-to-back wins in must-win games, and they played hard and they showed up, and it doesn't happen, and now you're back to being stressed out.
Yeah, and honestly, they stopped getting favors from Minnesota. Have picked up a couple wins in a row here. I mean, it's going to be a 1-2 homestand. It's done now. They get a single victory. It's a really disheartening loss to a bad team in Detroit, and it's a bad luck, disappointing loss tonight where your goalie wasn't good enough again. Those are the two most winnable games on the schedule, and isn't that this year's Flames, Rhett, that they find a way to get 2 points against the New York Rangers, and they pick up 3 of a possible 4 points against the Rangers in the season series, and they get 0 out of 4 against Detroit, and then they drop this game against Philly where, I don't think the Flyers did much special aside from their goaltender was really good.
Well, but again, did we make the goaltender look? I mean, he was good. Like, I didn't see it all.
I thought he was good. I thought he was real good.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because, it was Magnus Hellberg, and it's, all these guys you've never heard of, but he made some big saves early. Rudy said on the broadcast, and Rudy's classically glass half full, very positive guy, which I love. And I think that's, a great trait to have in life. But he's saying like, this could be 4-1 after 20. Well, Kelly, it could be 4-0 too. Your guy could make a save, right? Yeah. So, hey, I don't know. I mean, we all agree, Gilbert, for your toast to the game for BK Bowfort Liquor on that front. I wonder what moving forward we'll see. Stone's clearly not 100% right, but also not bad enough where it's like, here's what happened. He's going on IR. At least not yet. I'd put him back in the lineup in terms of how things you would approach. You've got 3 games and 4 nights coming up here: Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday against Arizona. Tough out these days, although not the most talented. The type of team they'd lose to, Rhett. Then Vegas, a team that's in the division and playing well. Okay, they'll probably play well there. And then Colorado in Colorado, where Cale Makar has returned, but since left again with injury. They're talented. Landeskog was skating today. I don't think Colorado's anything but an amazing team that's just got a ton of injuries right now. This is a tough trip.
Well, and it's a weird time of year because anything can happen, right? There's people talking about trades, like you could go on the road and everything will change by the time you get home. So there's no read on the Flames until the Flames.
No, that's true.
Right? Like, there's no read. There's no sense even trying to predict who's the goaltender, who's playing, who can they beat. I mean, it's a coin flip every game.
Well, I mean, the goalie's probably easier to guess after tonight, but maybe not with Darryl. And there's 5 games now between now and the trade deadline, Rhett. So it's this 3-game road trip: Arizona, Vegas, back-to-back, followed by Colorado. Then they come home: Boston, Toronto, Minnesota. If those are all 3 playoff teams, it probably means Minnesota holds you off for a playoff spot. And it's the first of 2 with Minnesota in the course of 4 nights. But the Boston-Toronto games 4 and 5 coming up next. Those are the last 2 before the deadline. 5 games till they have to figure out what to do. And I think it's as murky as it's ever been. I don't know that however you felt 2 weeks ago, you should feel the same because they're in the same spot.
Again, another reason why tonight you need those 2 points, right? You got Boston, Toronto when you come home, like before the trade deadline. You can't count points there.
And to your point, you can't count points anywhere with this group.
No.
All right. So what else did I want to chat about here? The power play didn't get you anything. We talked about the cheers of the game. Darryl post-game liked the effort. Couple breakdowns, didn't like the power play. Buy or sell? How I had a couple written down. Do you have anything on the tip of your tongue here for buy or sell, either of you? Because I could throw one out there, but if someone's got a good one.
Are you here? I'll throw one out there. Just kind of related a little bit to Mandeep and BK and our cheers of the game with Gilbert here.
Okay.
Are you buying or selling?
Yep.
If we can keep Gilbert in the lineup, let's say on these 3-game road trips, that you don't need to go out and get someone like a Luke Shen. If you can keep Stone and keep Gilbert, are you buying or selling? If Gilbert is good, we don't need to go out and spend a 3rd round, 2nd round to get a Luke Shen.
Yeah. I'll buy that, and I think that's a good one. So I was going to ask about his place in the lineup, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, if you can get the type of play from Gilbert where you're like, we're happy if he's our 6, we're thrilled if he's our 7, then you really don't need to go at a 6-7 in theory. If Stone, isn't giving you enough speed and against a certain matchup, you could go to him. I think going out and getting a depth defenseman is probably more to do with where you're at in the standings than what Gilbert shows you. But at this point, I'll buy that this team will stick with Stone and Gilbert rather than pay a future asset to bring in a depth piece.
And I'd rather buy it with Gilbert anyway, because I don't think he's that much of a downgrade from Shen anyway.
Yeah.
For the amount you're going to use him.
Yeah.
Surely you should be able to manipulate your ice times enough where you're not exposing the guy. And he skates well enough. I think he's a better skater than Luke Shen. Way better than Stone, but that's not saying a whole lot, right? So I think his movement's better. Yeah, he doesn't have the experience, but how the hell do you get it if you don't give him a chance? Like, giving up a 3rd or a 4th to solidify your 6th defenseman I think is a fool's errand. Even like Pinder's showed the chances of playing
value of picks. Yeah.
Yes, the value of the picks, but I still would rather have the off chance that pick turns into something special than to give up on it and maybe, and that's a big maybe, upgrade from Gilbert to Shen. No, that doesn't get you in the playoffs to me.
I'm with you. I think there's bigger issues than the play of their 6th defenseman at this point. They've already given up their 3rd this year and their 5th. So holding on to your 4th, I'm certainly more keen on that. And that if you got a full docket or if you've added some picks along the way. So yeah, for Derrick Newman and Newman Dean's Realty and CIR Real Estate, we say buy it or sell it. If you've got Gilbert playing well and you can get Stone back to full health, maybe you don't go get an asset at the deadline. I'm going to buy that as well. Not a bad one at all, Princey.
Thank you. Yeah, obviously I asked the question. I'm buying it too. I don't think he looks out of place.
No,
honestly. And I'm thinking there on that hit, he probably thought that he was going to have to fight Delorier.
Well, yeah, and that's the guy that if you're ready to fight Delorier, you're ready to fight anyone. Like, so, that's the guy that leads the league in majors the last few years. He went from Anaheim to Minnesota and then signed the money deal in Philly. Yeah, he's a brave dude, Rhett. I don't think you can be anything but inspired by watching this guy.
He's got balls on him.
He's got some big brassy buns, Rhett. Big brassy buns. I would go Vladar to start this road trip. It is a back-to-back. I don't know that what travel from Glendale to the Arizona airport to Vegas means at this point. I think if the coach has a goalie he trusts and thinks can win 2 in a row, he'll play him for 2. Also would make sense to split. But I'm starting Vladar Wednesday in Arizona personally. Retro?
Well, it's a yes, 100%. Well, I am. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what we're answering, right? What would you? I am. I don't know what they'll do. I think it will be Vladar, and I would absolutely go with Vladar.
Do you go with Vladar knocks it out of the park in Arizona? Go right back to him?
I think I would say it over and over. You win, it's your net.
Yep.
It'd be nice to be in that spot where, boy, we'd love to get this guy some rest, but he just keeps winning. He keeps piling up too many points for us.
Yeah.
What a problem to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's your buy it or sell it for Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Realty with CAR Realty. Give him a call, 403-619-6661. You can see his email address on the screen as well if you're watching on the old YouTube or Twitter as well.
Yeah, it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter now. We're going live.
How about that?
Yeah.
How long are we right now?
What, half an hour?
Half an hour. I feel like we've done the show a ton, Rhett, in terms of like whether it's barn burner or afterburner, where it's just like, you run out of real estate. You are what you are at this point. No more excuses. We're going to do a show tomorrow. it's kind of it's showtime here. Like they're not in a spot where coming home 500 on a road trip moves the needle anymore.
Well, the nice thing for guys like us and the fans and the media is that a win or a loss is in a way both exciting because if they lose again, who are they selling?
Oh,
What kind
yeah,
of
sure.
what kind of returns can we?
Well, you could see it, right? It's Arizona, so it's a team that's in the lottery sweepstakes. The team that many people had projected to finish in the bottom 1 or 2. They're also playing a little better right now. They are getting some goaltending. Like if you lose to Arizona, I certainly would listen really hard to some thoughts on what a sell at the deadline could look like. Minnesota's got 2 wins in a row. I think that team's a very good one if they can get enough saves. I love the lineup. Like it again, it's only must wins. It feels like moving forward.
And then so it's back to back. So they play Arizona, then Vegas back to back.
Wednesday and Thursday, and then into Colorado on Saturday night.
That's
defending champs.
The old must win kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to 4 out of the first 4, will allow you to maybe get an overtime point card. But goodness, just get 2 fucking points. Why is it so hard? It's Arizona.
Well, and if they win and they do, what if they go back-to-back wins? Who we adding? I mean, we got to keep up with. We got to add players. Let's make some trades.
I know, and it's kind of it's part of the journey of being a fan. It's part of the existence of having to react every single day or 5 days a week to something you watched the night before. You know, I'm on Twitter and it's like Markstrom's back, and that was like 1 fucking game against New York, and yes, he was good. And I said it again. I really want you to think about this. If your best game in like maybe the whole season or the last 4 months, you blew a 2-goal lead and you had a 900 save percentage. Yes, he was good, but sure to God, you could get us a shutout at some point on this season. If the Flames fans are asking, like it's wild that now is the bar, that he was 18 for 20. They blew a 2-goal lead and they got the win in overtime. And he was good, but it's like not many nights can you say, our guy was better than their guy if you're the Calgary Flames in net. Certainly not when Markstrom's been in.
I'm almost starting to feel for him.
I am too. I mean, look, he's new dad, and you know that this guy's journey, if you followed him, we're talking like the highest of high-end prospects, like blue chip, number 1 goalie outside the NHL, all that. Toils in the American League, can't stick in the NHL, goes to Vancouver, passes through waivers, gets his game back in Utica, and finally, like mid-20s, turns into the guy that everyone thought they'd see showing up at 21 in the league. Like, it's almost a reason I do think that, you know, he will be a good goalie in this league again, which some people think is never going to happen. Like, he's been through some of this journey already. The world's counted you out. You're not good enough. Like, I think a lot of it's between the years, and I think an off season is going to be healthy for this guy. Like, you are the same human that had 9 shutouts last year behind a team with the same coach, same structure. He looks like a different cat.
And if you can go to Utica and find yourself, then you know how to battle through adversity. Because I've spent
the post-apocalyptic wasteland of Utica. That's right.
Yes, tough spot.
Barn burner tomorrow.
We're
back. And maybe an earlier start, Rhett. So
works for me. Kids are out of school this week, so I can.
There you go.
Yeah. Plus, by the way, I smell popcorn, so I think we should shut this down.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much wrapping it right now. Just we had the teachers convention stuff Thursday, Friday. Today was the holiday. Happy Family Day to you, Rhett. Congrats to the young man on getting to the final. Did you get the dub or what happened? You never
told me. They were so out of gas. They played 6 games.
6
in under 3 days, and 2 of them were started at 7 a.m. The boys were tired. Oh, and 4D. My goodness, boys.
4D.
They're bagged. Yeah, they had the lead, but they blew it. So tough one. It was a tough ride home.
Thanks to BK Bowfort Liquor for helping us out on Afterburner, as well as Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Realty with CAR. Appreciate everyone that's helped out on Afterburner. Rhett, you know, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. You got it done today. Princey, thanks for helping out in a pinch. Appreciate that.
I got to sign up for games that aren't regionally blacked out.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Just move back to Calgary. We know how it works here, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow on Barn Burner. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Adios.